Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Roman Show. And on the line, Dakota from Silent Theory. Thanks so much for joining us. As I had previously mentioned, been a big fan of you guys. Been following your musical career. Of course, you've had a lot of push, a lot of inspiration. Guys like Chino from Deftones, I remember, big fan of you guys. As they use in the words of professional wrestling, pushed you over, gave you that push. And here you are. You're coming out now September 13, your third album, How It Ends, September 13th. If you don't follow the band on your favorite streaming service, please do so. But Dakota, thanks so much and welcome to the Roman Show.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Happy to be here.
So tell me about this new album, September 13. Last one that you guys put out was back in 22. And you know, one thing about that I've noticed about your music, so you guys are not, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, but from listening to some of the lyrics, it almost seems like you're putting in the inspirational lyric for others people can listen to. But at the same time, it's almost like you're telling a story or how about you guys feel as a band. And I got that from one of your songs, Sticks and Stones. It's almost like you're sending a message out there, right? Like, hey guys, we're not done yet. Somehow, some way, we're going to make it. And is this kind of the same theme for this new album, or what approach are we taking? Because from that new song, that new single that I just heard, Made Me This Way, you guys sound a little bit ramped up.
Yeah. Dude, you nailed it on the head. That's kind of exactly what this album is. Just from the title, Tell Us How It Ends, it kind of implies like we don't really know where we're going to go from here because everything has been kind of like a fog going forward. And we felt that way for the last couple albums. And like Hunter Be Hunted, we released in 22, but like we had to postpone that because of COVID. So we really got derailed back in 2020, and we had to wait and sit on a lot of this material. And so I think what ended up happening was a lot of the music industry kind of moved forward without us. And we felt a little spurned by that. So a lot of this album is kind of like, yo, we're still here. Like we're 100% still in this game. And we shouldn't be slept on. Like Afterthought was a very like punch in the face type of song. I'm like, please don't sleep on us. Don't forget that we're here type of thing. So yeah, you nailed it. That's totally what this album is kind of aiming for.
And you mentioned about Afterthought. Prior to that in 24, you also released Burn It All Down. So you were busy. You were putting some stuff out there. You did a little bit of acoustic music. So you were still active, but you heard about the theme. Which one of these songs though, aside from the singles that we have heard, is really going to captivate the fans? You know, something that, man, I can't wait to perform this song live because it's just going to get people amped and ready to go in the pit.
Yeah, totally. So the title track off of the album is called Made Me This Way. We haven't released it yet, but we're going to. I think that one's going to be a barn burner. We really felt that way about Made Me This Way. We were so stoked to release that one because we were so stoked to play it live. There's also another one in there that's called... God, I can't even remember the names of my own songs right now. Human. That's going to be really good, too, that I think when we play it live. And we've also got, like, some acoustic stuff coming that we'll release after this album, too. So we're not even done when we release on September 13th. Like, we still have more coming down.
So you guys been very busy in the kitchen. Now, one thing that actually, that number one song, Fragile Minds, you had the little background with the piano, kind of reminded me a little bit about the Requiem for a Dream. Are we going to have some of that instruments in this new album, or is it just, you know, new metal, heavy metal, rock in it, or we're going to have some of that diversity?
It's funny that you bring this up because I just brought this up to Mitchell the other day. I said we need to kind of go back to getting that cello and that violin because I love it so much. On this record, not so much. We were really pushing towards heavy on this record. I don't know what made us think that way, but every other song was supposed to be different, because we didn't know which song was necessarily going to be a single. So we treated each song with the kind of individual attention you would normally give to like your radio singles. But we didn't know what we were going to do. So each batch of songs we did was like, this might be a hit. We don't know. And so I feel like that's kind of what took over a little bit. I don't know. I don't know. It's angry. It doesn't really necessarily go back to what Fragile Minds was. I would want to desperately go back to Fragile Minds, like that kind of sound, but this is definitely an evolution on that.
With this third album, and every album has some spoken to many bands, and some say, "Oh, this was great. This is smooth." Some say there were challenges. Do you think there were some challenges in this album, or was it a smooth sailing? It was just a matter of time till you guys get in the studio and put things together?
Oh, it depends on which member you ask on that one. For me, this was smooth sailing. Like, for me, this was very easy because each song that I got, I was so happy with, and I was able to write lyrics to very, very easy. But I don't know if that was the same for Scott or for Mitchell on coming up with their parts or what kind of designs they decided for the songs. Because the way we write, those guys write the music, and then they kick it over to me, and I put all my lyrics and melody on it, and then we come together and we put it all together. And so from what I got, it was very smooth for me. I don't know how easy it was for them, or even if they enjoyed what I put down. But yeah, for me, it was smooth sailing on this record.
So when it comes to the writing, and of course you let them do their work, but you guys come together, or as a group to write it, or you let just an individual write it? How is that process?
It's a group effort, but usually it sparks with one person. Mm-hmm. So like one person will have a really cool riff, or somebody will have a really cool idea, and then we build on that. What ends up happening a lot of times, though, is like Scott and Mitch and George and Bob, they'll sit down, they'll work out music together. They'll send it to me. I'll come up with my idea. I'll go to them, and then they'll pick it apart and say what they don't like, or they do like this, or this doesn't make sense. And so we kind of come together at the very tail end of it, but it usually sparks with one person.
So now that we're just around the corner of releasing this album, are we going to hit the road? Are you going to be on tour? Any other bands you're going to be headlining tours? Where are you going to go?
Yeah, the goal is always to tour after releasing an album. It's kind of a death sentence if you don't. Mm-hmm. So we are 100% planning on touring sometime in October.
Okay.
Probably doing about a 3-week or a month stint, just trying to hit as much of the East Coast, I want to believe, is what we're aiming for, is the East Coast.
All right.
We don't usually hit the East Coast until many people have asked us to go there. Whether or not we're going to go with anybody that we've gone with before, we don't know. We're reaching out to bands to see if anybody wants to just tag along and just hop on that with us. As for something we're going to be with on like a headlining tour, we don't have anything booked just yet, but we're always working on it. So it could be next week that we get something.
And when those dates, or do we know when those dates are going to be released? And when they are, what can people anticipate on your tour, on stage? Any theatrics? You're going to keep it short, just let the music do the talking.
Well, so the dates, when we release them, they're going to have to be relatively soon, just because we have to start letting people know when we're going to go, especially if it's going to be October. So I would expect in the next 3 weeks or so that we start putting together a game plan on when we're going to release those dates. As for what they can expect on stage, the biggest thing we've moved forward with in 2023 and 2024 was building up our stage and putting a lot more into it. So like a lot of the lighting work, we're trying to come up with ideas for putting LED screens up there so we can start getting some videography up there. Like, we're trying to really build out a solid stage, especially if we're going to be doing these like hour-long headlining runs, where we want to make it more of a spectacle. And I think that's kind of where music needs to start heading in the future anyways. Like, we need to start making it a little bit more theatrical and entertaining instead of just being 5 dudes up there with instruments, like making it into like a real like experience for people to go to. And that's kind of where we're starting to take our steps.
That is absolutely awesome, Dakota. I really appreciate your time, man, and I'm looking forward to the new album. Like I said, I'm a big fan. Just not saying it because I'm interviewing you, but definitely tune into all the stuff. I was just training jiu-jitsu right now, listening to you guys in the background, and I'm like, guys, you guys got to listen to this band. They're super cool. And listen, somehow, some way, cool. Try to put in there Florida, Fort Lauderdale. We would love to have you down here, especially during the winter time, because it's sure as hell a lot cold in Idaho during the winter. So we love to give you some of our warm welcoming. No pun intended.
Yes. No, I'd love that, man. We would all love that.
Awesome, Dakota. Well, thanks so much, man, and good luck on the new album, September 13th. How It Ends, dropping. Make sure you follow the band on your favorite streaming service to not make sure you're the first one to hear in Silent Theory.